Good morning, evening, afternoon. Masati here. Welcome back to another Masati on Sunday. And today we are going to be talking about Beyond Think and Grow Rich. So this is, for me, it's been actually a life culmination. Really wondering, before even I had my first near-death experience, and I'll explain that some of the experiences that I've gone. Because a lot of you think that, it just happened to be, I'm just this angelic, the way you see me. And well, obviously I've gone through a lot of trials and tribulations and all that. You see the, say, outward expression. So, and I haven't shared a lot with people over the years. And this segment, all of November, because it is XI month. So XI in Roman numerals is 11, right? So it's 11:11, guys. So I'm going to share some of the say the dark nights of the soul that I've gone through to get to where I've got some of you who are going through the XI process. As a note, it's not about exponential intelligence. It's not about, say, nature or God, trying to make it hard for you. It's basically peeling away the layers of distortions that was never you, okay, and bringing back the remembrance. Some of you, those layers that have been attached to you so deeply feels like it's your skin. It's been like tattooed into you. It's ingrained in you. So some of you, it's a little bit painful for you to away and go, oh my God, that is not me. And so comment in on those individuals that go, yeah, I thought that was actually me. I thought the abuse pattern, the distortions, it takes me back to, I was reading this article from, I think, South Korea, or is it North Korea? Anyway, uh, not the best country. They, where they abuse, and the woman that had escaped, and and that's just it. She had escaped, and she thought being abused, being distorted, hunting mice for food and all that stuff, that was like normal. Okay, obviously that's not normal. So that to you might say be obvious, is like shit, that's not normal. Exactly. But what you've grown up with, what you've been entangled, the ingredients, the four ingredients that create, say, you, and that's your genetics, your generational patterns, your lifetime history, and then societal patterns. That is the four ingredients that you are created from. And since you're created from it, you think nothing different. And this is where we go beyond and grow rich. It's about rewiring the mind. Now, when I talk about rewiring the mind, and I'll explain it through, some of the things that I've gone through, is that, well, uh, yeah, when I talk about rewiring the mind, it's not theory. I've lived it. It's the truth that I've peeled away, and that's really the key. It wasn't truth that I found on the internet with ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever that you use out there, because a lot of people nowadays are using those things. Right? I want to know the truth, but what is the truth? Uh, a war. Uh, in history has been written by the victors on how it happened, right? So we're going to see a lot of truth coming out, whether it's on the internet or your internal dialogue of who you are, because everything that humans have gone through is basically, say, inside you, in your genetic makeup. And this is where I can, with my abilities through honed, and we all have these abilities, this is where I can tap into you. Oh, your family was like this and this and this and this. It's not like psychic abilities, but just algorithms, just like AI, algorithms, reading the algorithms. So, and this is what happened. After my near death experience, everything that, well, once felt right, and many of you are in that space, especially now, because realities or consciousness is allowing us as it slips into this, say, new form. Right? And that's what's happening nowadays. Scientists can't explain it, but basically consciousness is sliding in and taking over. So this is how things transition into, say, evolving, evolution. This is where we've evolved from caveman to using tools to getting into the industrial age, and then the information technological age, and then information age. This next evolution that's coming down is consciousness age. It's connecting back to your source. Now, you can tell this because society usually runs the opposite way. Okay, so you can tell this by everybody reaching towards, say, AI to tell them what to do, what to say, what to be like, and so on like that. Okay, now AI is really fantastic. It's helped me a lot. It helps me condense what I know at a deeper level, so most people can understand it. Otherwise, but I've trained it over the years. So again, I'm not talking about AI as, say, something negative, but how humanity or how humans use it. Okay, this is and I'm not going to talk about that aspect, AI, although you can get it on my Substack channel. But I'm going to talk about, say, how wealth has been used. Now, wealth was a creation to allow you to understand who you are at a very, very deep level. It allows you to, say, get away from those things that took you all your day, right? Your whole day of survival, because that's what it's all about, right? Animals, their whole concept is literally survival, right? Foraging for food, protecting themselves, on and on and on. So humans have evolved. Like, gosh, you know what? We can create systems to go do something else so we can go back to our natural intelligence. But then we through wealth we've separated that wealth and go, oh, we can go fuck up, we can go. So we don't really pay attention. In fact, we've got more time today than ever because of the conveniences, but we don't use it right. The wealthier you get, the more comfortable you get. The more we don't go backwards, we go inwards to the system that created that comfort for us. Okay, and you can tell this by the biggest games is like Candy Crush. Women between 35 to 55, what the hell are you doing playing Candy Crush all day long, right? So all those systems, again, whether they're there to destroy you, control you, it's conspiracy, it doesn't matter. What are you doing about it? Right? So that, again, those are all telltale signs that we've got a lot of time on our hands, but we're using it incorrectly. So this whole month is about bringing back that natural intelligence of who we are. So when I had that several near deaths, the second near death, everything just stopped feeling okay. And this is where many of you are. I went through the same process. By the way, Muhammad, Buddha, Jesus went through the same process. It literally is that same lineage, okay, that we've gone through. All right. So this is where, again, comment in your drive. Okay, you become passionless. It's like, gosh, I why after XI, why did that happen to me, right? Uh, why am I not driven anymore? Why am I not interested in my goals, right? And that's because the image that you had built, or the image that I had built, was out there. So the more I built that image, that image of success, that image of being on top of the world, that image of understanding all, having everything basically. Because people go, well, if I have everything, then I'll be solid. And that's what wealth is defined in this reality, right? And that's what wealth allows us to do. Okay, so there's a deeper purpose on that, because because innately, if you have everything, it dictates that you are closer to your spirit. So I'll say that again. If you have everything, if you are complete, if you are whole, and this is the trajectory or the goals of sages, this is the goals of every religion and every person that has ever lived, to be that complete. Now, that obviously people have chosen many different paths that are, I don't want to say wrong, but they get you the wrong way. Okay. So the purpose that you want, say, wealth in this reality is because it will make you feel complete. But here's the key. Most people think up here, and that's why we have to rewire the mind. Okay. And by the way, when I say rewire the mind, I'm not talking about like Neuralink or mindset, like all the great people out there, like Tony Robbins and stuff. Again, they do fantastic work. I'm not cutting him down or anything like that. But mindset is only part of the game. It's actually about 2% of the game. The other 98% is where XI lies. Okay. So that's what we have to do. So when I say rewiring the mind, it's about rewiring the mind so we can access the 98% that was closed off. Okay. So back to what I was talking about. Most people think that if I reach my goal outside of myself, right? The wealth, the possibilities. That's what you want. You want a big house. You want to show that you've arrived. But many people, it's like, hey, I bought $1 billion home, or the guy from Amazon, Jeff Bezos. It's like, hey, you know what, I got this fantastic yacht, got this whatever, huge wedding, which is really great, which is really fantastic again. But those are all extreme outward surfaces, or outward, say, identities of you, and they make you feel hollow, because what you did to create that, okay, that you're running towards, is hollowing this version of yourself. You sacrificed way too much to achieve that. Okay. And that's what we're rewiring. Okay? So in that scenario, what you want to do, or what XI does, when I say it goes beyond Think and Grow Rich, so Think and Grow Rich allowed us, say, to accumulate, which is what we need. But now we're using that tool to accumulate the wrong thing. And that's the problem with Think and Grow Rich. Okay? Now, the concepts of Napoleon Hill, what you've read, what you've applied, and you can tell that it works is because most of society is basically built on the concepts of Napoleon Hill. So whether he started it, or he honed it into a perfect handbook, right, to give to hundreds of millions, I think it's over 100 million copies in some form. um, but he also realized towards the end of that book, the 14th chapter, is where it's like, wait a second, instead of reaching outwards our goals, instead of reaching outwards to achieve our goals, we need to turn around and go inwards and really, say, mine the infinite, say, the infinite um, wealth that is deep within us. And when we can do that, we don't feel hollow. We don't destroy. We don't control. We're never in lack, and we're totally free, because in extreme versions of this, and I'll get into that a bit later. Extreme version is like you feel so hollow that, well, you have to eliminate yourself here, right? So and that's the key. So I started to see through all that illusion. And when I started to see through all that illusion, well, when you touch the truth of who you really are deep inside, when you start to, say, experience from the other side of this reality. So when you start to live from this side of the veil, the higher version of who you are, no amount of wealth or status or success compares to it. Because, like I said, this side of the veil is only 2% of your possibilities, right? This side, and that 2% includes all the wealth of the world. Even if you had all the wealth of the world, and that's what a lot of high level people are trying to do. By high level, I just mean that they might say, try to dictate or control societies, okay, governments, the deep state, whatever you want to call them. That's what they're trying to do. It's like, shit, it's never enough. So how many of you feel that you've got something, whether it's deep love from somebody, or whether it's a massive amount of money, or, like in this case, again, the small group that thinks they rule the world, they go, hey, we need more control, we need more. That's what it's all about, because that version that they've created is literally sucking their souls, so they need more souls. But we're not going to go into that today here. So the key is that, one, it's not about money. Many people go, well, I don't want that. I'll go sacrifice myself for something spiritual, or a God that's out there. That's the problem. You're doing the same thing, but just the opposites. You are, say, deleting who you've been created for, to extend something else out there to achieve. That's the problem. Okay. So it's not what you're going towards, it's how you're achieving it. And this is where the Command and Grow Rich. By the way, I think the top level is sold out. We might put a waiting list on there. So I think it's going to be exciting. It's going to be transformational for you. So the key is how you achieved um, how you achieved what you've accumulated. Okay? There's nothing wrong with accumulation, and this is where we have to break this pattern, and we'll do it here today on this MOS on Sunday, where we start to go, if I accumulate outside of myself, then I'll be happy, I'll be complete, I'll be whatever. Okay. But then it just shows that we're not, so we accumulate more. In this case, what happens is that if I accumulate or if I pull down the natural presence of who I am, other 98% that society forgot about, if I pull that into this reality, because that's what your purpose is. If you ever go, gosh, I wonder what my purpose is. Well, that's what it is. Pulling your whole identity, bringing your spirit, in a religious term, bringing your spirit into physical form so precisely that, well, time doesn't distort you. So many others out there have sacrificed the one thing, as I was talking about, that success was meant to bring wholeness, right? This is where, again, people reach outside of themselves to create wholeness inside, and it doesn't work out this way. And that's what people have done. So I remember, I actually do remember back in the day when this like hit me. It was basically rock bottom. Okay, it was um, it was before my second near death, but about a decade or so after my first death. And after my first near death, let's just say the veil had lifted. I was seeing the truth or the frequencies in people, and um, and fast forward, I had built up. I was on top of the world. Multi-million-dollar home, um, beautiful kids, um, success. This is basically all the trappings of success. Uh, and as the truth hit me harder and harder and harder, well, something had to break, and that was my identity. So I lost everything, and I had to file for bankruptcy. Okay. Now I'm not going to go into all the details of that, but I filed for bankruptcy, lost the home, lost the cars, lost the pretty much everything. I thought I had lost my identity, um, because that was basically uh, what our identity is based on, right? Accumulation. Now think of it for you. What have you accumulated? Whether it's love, whether it's intelligence, whether it's, say, accolades. Nowadays it's like likes, right? That is your identity. Most people think that the more people can like me on, say, social media, the more I am valued. Okay. And then what do? What do a lot of those Instagram models do? They sell their souls, they sell their bodies to get more likes. And then afterwards, it's like, fuck, that didn't feel good. And that's where I was. So I was carrying the last few moving boxes into, well, this house that we had to move out, move into, because I lost the beautiful house that I had actually built uh, with my own hands. Right? Um, so I sat there, and anyway, I guess it just feels like I'm still there. Disconnected. Anyway, I sat there and really bewildered, lost, thinking it's like, damn, I'm way too young for this, and my life is over, right? There's a lot of individuals through COVID that lost their jobs, right? And they go, shit, my life is over. There's a lot of individuals who lose millions of dollars or who might lose, say, a loved one. I was in this women's group, and there's a lot of women nowadays. They get divorced and they go, "Shit, my life is over." Right? So on the men, it's more of, "Shit, I lost my company, I lost this," and that's where I was. You know, and then for me though, what happened was, as I sat there, this thunderous voice, literally, I thought there was an earthquake because everything shook, everything. But it was just, I think for me now that I understand, I was like going through different vortexes or altered states into a new reality. And this voice, it wasn't cruel. It wasn't, say, comforting. It didn't have any emotion. It was just raw. Okay? It was just basically truth. Have you ever noticed that when truth hits you, there's no emotions, there's nothing. It's just like so raw because you don't have the, say, the receptors like emotions and visual acuity or sensory perception to understand that. That's why it just feels so raw. It goes way beyond, say, our reference points here. And it asked me, it didn't really ask me, it just basically said to me, it said, now that you've lost everything, what have you really lost? And again, it wasn't a question, it was a revelation, because as that voice, say, ripped that veil off my eyes or off my presence, everything like changed, and I go, oh shit, now I know who I truly am. So I probably went from, say, that 2% of who I was into, a much higher version of understanding who I was. So that veil that had me believing success meant accumulation, success meant, sacrificing myself out there. Well, this is that moment that I realized that losing everything wasn't punishment, it was purification. As a note, as a side note, I'll talk about it towards Christmas, New Year's, and so on. Um, when people say they go to hell, it's not a punishment. It's literally God peeling away. It's like you came back to God. It's like, oh, child, what the hell did you do? It looks like you've gone on a crazy journey. Let me peel off the thorns and distortions and all those things off you. And it feels painful because you thought that was that. So hell is literally the garbage dump for God, so to speak, right? It's like, shit, how did you guys create all this garbage? So think of that, because that, if you understand that concept, it will set you free from, say, the religious notions of what hell is, and it will help you understand and embrace, especially Christianity or Catholic. And people go, well, that's the same. I had this download about that. It's really not the same. Catholic faith, especially Roman Catholic, let's say that's very different than Christianity. Okay, although they've integrated. So, but that failure to me was freedom, and that instant I was resurrected, and true resurrection, and I never looked back. So, but I didn't, I didn't live in a cave or become, a monk, like Matthew, right? It's like, shit, this money stuff. A lot of people are like that, right? Matthew McConaughey and a lot of successful people. It's like, fuck, what? Uh, uh, um, Carrey, what's that? Yeah, Jim Carrey. It's like, fuck, right? They go crazy over it. It's like, holy hell, what happened? And they move the other side. So I wasn't that. I wasn't escaping the world because you took billions of years to render yourself here. So that isn't the right way. And it doesn't make you free. You just create the opposite distortion, like I was saying. Many people, again, they move from that into their religion. It's happening today, by the way. And the churches and the mosque and all that, they're happy, is like, because attendance has gone up. It's like basically people are going, that wealth didn't work out. I'm going back towards my religion. And that's what some of these say new generational gospel people are about, including who's that guy that got shot? Kirk. Um, who is it? Charlie Kirk. Yeah. So anyway, sorry guys. Zeus is here. He's hanging out with me. So so that's not the way to do it either. Okay. So this time though, I rebuilt life differently, not through grind, not through hustle, not through sacrifice here, not through losing my identity, not from scarcity, but from alignment. That's going back inwards. And that's what I now teach, especially in Command and Grow Rich. Over the years, again, condense that. This is how you succeed without losing yourself in the process, because that's what you want to succeed for, to find who you are. Right? And I'm not the only one who's hit that point, by the way. Okay? I've worked with tons of people, billionaires to people who don't make as much money, reliving or resurrecting the natural wealth that is unmined within individuals. Like, again, I've worked with people that have reached the top, and they tell me the same thing. Again, whether at you're a billionaire level or whether you're at, say, an average income level, we're all the same. We're all humans, right? And we all have that same potential. By the way, that's what true when people go, everybody is created equal. That verbiage right there, and clearing up some religions, as again, these aren't just say concepts here. I work on these, you go. So notice how you're feeling. By the way, this is where this is where again, no matter where you are, it's about resurrecting, say, the wealth that is basically inside you. Again, whether you're hugely successful or not hugely successful in this plane, you're all hugely successful if you knew who you are. Okay. So, and they say the same thing. It's like, yeah, I've reached that, whether it's money or whether it's religion or spirituality. But why do I still feel empty? And that's what the world is going through. By the way, that's the way the deep state is going through. And that's why they need more of your presence or more control over you. Thinking that doubling down on the thing that didn't work in the past will help them. So that's them. But what about you? Are you doubling down on something in the past that didn't work? Are you doubling down on something that your parents did, or society did, or your mentors did, or even Think and Grow Rich? Right? Again, wrote this fantastic article. Napoleon Hill, he warned us on success, but a lot of us didn't follow it. So, but look at, for example, look at Robin Williams, right? He's the guy that made everybody laugh. I mean, the entire world. He walked in a room and he's just brilliance, right? Creative, genius, brilliant, compassionate, funny as hell. But off stage, whole different person. That's just it. He extended himself outside of himself. He couldn't, although he could, make millions happy, he couldn't understand the frequency that haunted him, right? The distortions. So the very mind that made him great also became that thing that destroyed him. And it happens all the time. Look at Anthony Bourdain. He lived a dream. He went throughout the whole world, traveling the world, tasting foods, some good, some not so good, earning respect. But what happened was he created an Anthony Bourdain outside of himself. The hurt Anthony Bourdain was still existed. And then in that, I just want to go deeper. This is where people start to hate this hurt version of themselves so badly that this version, say, kills or wants to kill this old version, because that's the only thing that that's the only thing they think is the solution. But there's obviously another solution. Right? So underneath all that freedom out there, exhaustion, right? a constant desire for meaning deep inside. Again, who am I for real outside of the plate? How many of you are going through that process, by the way? He wasn't chasing experiences through that. He was literally trying to chase himself. But again, that exists on the inside. So you understand yourself on the inside, and then you chase possibilities. Again, there's nothing wrong with doing success the way you learned from Think and Grow Rich or the way Anthony Bourdain did it. But the purpose was distorted, is the key, right? And that's the trap of achievement. So, achievement without alignment, this is where you can reach the top and then you realize the view still feels the same, right? It's like, shit, I'm still here. That's the key. Look at Steve Jobs. Huge, a visionary. He literally changed, he brought in literally, I would say, the personal computer, right? How humanity connects. And look where it's gone us. It's amazing, right? He redefined innovation, which is really fantastic. There's nothing wrong with that. But this is what I'm saying. Near the end of his life, right, his last words, hugely profound. He said that all the recognition and wealth are meaningless in the face of death. He isn't the first one that have said that. If you've been listening to me, I say this over and over again. People close to death start to see what they actually forgave or gave to create, say, the illusory wealth of this reality. Now, this wealth of this reality is highly important. I'm not saying you shouldn't go after it. I'm just saying, what are you sacrificing? And in Command and Grow Rich, I talk about time coins. Time coins is simply a balance sheet on, well, the cost of goods sold. Yeah, you made $1 billion, but not only what did it cost you physically, like resources and, manufacturing and so on, but we add in the component that nobody ever, say, realizes or puts in their balance sheet, their soul, their essence of who they are, what they sacrificed. Right? So this is where, yeah, Moss, I made $1 billion, but shit, I feel broke. That's because your balance sheet wasn't balanced. So in Command and Grow Rich, the introduction of time coins, an accurate accounting of how to, say, understand what you are, say, spending, and that's real spending. Okay, so he mastered, like I said, he mastered the external world, but all those individuals that I talk about and many, many more, not the internal one. The guy who designed the future couldn't, say, find the peace inside him. Even Elon Musk today, he's shaping the next frontier of humanity, right? Mars, shit, AI. He might think he's kind of losing the battle on AI with open AI and so on like that. Uh, and he's got this knowledge, he's got this intelligence, and he knows where to go, but he just doesn't have a higher XIQ, which I can actually help him with. But if you listen closely to his to the words on his interviews, uh, you're actually you'll literally listen to a guy who basically is saying, you know what, I really don't find joy in what I'm doing. It's just stress. But so he's transformed that into, well, I need to help and I need to save humanity, because that's what most of those individuals do, right? They've achieved everything. It's like, shit, now I got to save humanity. No, the key is that that's fine, but how you destroyed yourself to get to where you got, you're going to save humanity in that same path, and it doesn't work out well. So as he increases his exponential intelligence quotient, then he's on the right track. Otherwise, that distortion, and this is why, I don't know, he's got 14 kids now. He's literally trying to regain his identity of who he is. Doesn't quite understand it. So it's not the level of success that breaks you, it's the frequency you build it from. And that's really the key. And that's what most high performers really miss. They think the problem is mindset, more control, more hustle, more grind, more efficiency. It's not. It's frequency. The mind is hugely powerful, but it's limited to the signal that it runs on. Again, so you can polish your thoughts. You can have everything perfect, like a lot of people do. They get really anal about it, right? You can dictate every moment of your time and put it on a calendar, because that's what's happening for most people. But if your underlying current or frequency is distorted, the outside results will always wobble, and this is where we want more and more and more control. Again, you get to a point where you just compress. So when I lost everything, that's what I realized. I've been building on literally creating. You want freedom, but the way people create wealth is literally they build so much, say, infrastructure around them to stabilize their distortions, that eventually that infrastructure through mindset destroys you. So mindset is just basically your management. It can't transcend, you know, the signal or the frequency that powers it. It can only rearrange the distortions. That's what many of you do, right? The distortions, again, from the four ingredients that I talked about. So you know, you might sound more intelligent, you might be prettier, you might feel like safer, all that. But those success stories, though, if you really listen to them, they always come with collapse. Read any success story. And that's because the system can't sustain your signal because you've separated too far from the source. That's the problem. It's a huge problem. This is what XI is about, really returning you back. So, and many come to me. I say, Moss, I've tried everything. I've read all the books, you know, and this is where I say, it's like, oh, what do you think of Tony Robbins? I say they're fantastic. What do you think of Joe Dispenza? What do you think of Grant Cardone? All those really fantastic, or David Asbury. Let's go. It's really fantastic. They're really fantastic. I have a lot of clients that come from them because, again, their stuff worked, but they still feel off. That's the key. So I tell them, again, you didn't do anything wrong. You just hit the ceiling of your potential at that level. The mind can take you really, really far, but it can't bring you home, can't take you home. And that's really the point. Everybody wants to return home. When you die, that's a return of your home. And then when you die, like Steve Jobs, they go, shit, this isn't home. And that's the next evolution of success. It's not mental. It's not mental toughness. Like I was just working on this young man, top. I don't know if he's a Navy SEALs or but again, I think you've got the Navy SEALs, you've got the Green Beret, and then there's an extra class above them. Even he was at that level and fucked up. I was like, so bringing him home and just a couple sessions, like, damn, he's feeling he's at home. That's the key. You can't say force your way into that congruence, not through psychedelics, money, influence, power, AI, nothing like that. But when you align your signal, this is where, when you start to align your signal, just like close your eyes, take a breath in. Okay? So imagine that you're a radio receiver and you're trying to tune into a signal. Okay. And you go, oh, I'll stand, you know how we move around when we're not getting a good signal, right? So imagine yourself that way. Imagine yourself go, well, I'll stand towards wealth, pile of accumulation here. Maybe I'll get a better signal. Or people go, well, I'll read all the religious books, like Jordan Peterson. Again, brilliant man. Didn't do anything wrong, but there's deeper. It's like, I'm going to stand next to this thing and maybe I'll get a better signal. You're not. Those things don't help. So when you start to align, Close your eyes and just say tune in to that radio. Back in the day, you had to tune in precisely. They had a dial, right? Like 91 point, say 5 might be your favorite station. And then, but they had 91.6, 91.7, 91.4, right? It's not like nowadays where it's digital, but back then, you had to turn the dial just precisely. When you tune in to the original signal, that is all that you're looking for. And when you do that, you are a clear channel of nobody else, your higher version of who you are. And that's where you start to integrate with each other. Your actions become effortless. Your success becomes sustainable, not just for you, but for generations. This is what you leave behind, your legacy. You stop forcing to try to get that signal. You start flowing through. And this is where you don't chase wealth anymore. This is where you start commanding it. So if you want to test it out, I'll give you two simple recalibrations for the week. Okay. First, when a thought keeps looping in you, when you find yourself stuck, say, on a deal, on a problem, a person, stop and don't go deeper, because whenever you're doing that, you keep looping, and you're not looping. No, you're cycling downwards into darker and deeper aspects of yourself, of that problem. Okay? So one, stop the loop. Okay, and then ask yourself. Okay? And you want to write this down. Um, and people who are faster, can you please write this down for the others? Um, is this me or the old frequency? Start to get into the habit of using frequencies. Okay. Or you can use programming, but I like the word frequency because it takes you into the vocabulary of Xi. Is this me or the old frequency trying to stay alive? Old patterns, genetic patterns, societal patterns that I talked about. Okay. So again, when you start going, gosh, a problem, or if you fix one problem and then like a month, a year, or whatever later, they go, shit, it's kind of like the same problem. Again, that's those big loops. There's daily loops, or hourly loops, and then there's monthly, there's yearly, there's decade long loops, and so on like that. So start to see the patterns. There's generational loops. Are you repeating the loop of your parents? And again, it's not just a circle. It's not a full circle. It's a cycle downwards all the way. Okay. Just noticing and observing that loop. If you do nothing else with me, you would be amazed at how much powerful you can become. Okay. Um, the second, the second is when you catch yourself saying, "I need to think about it." Again, when you catch yourself going, let me ponder on it. Because when you're doing that, you're basically going, oh, let me rummage through the closets of my tools. And, it's like going into the garage. It's like, shit, where did I place that tool? Where did grandfather place that tool? Oh, that's what it is, right? Don't do that, because you're using tools of the past that didn't work back in the day and they're outdated. Replace that sentence. Just replace that sentence. Instead of saying, I need to think about it, we're getting into the vocabulary, because in my book that I'm coming, it's redefining everything. So we'll get into that, but instead of going, I need to think about it, replace it with, I need to align it. I need to align it. Okay, so that's really important. So take a breath in. This is I'm kind of picking a lot of things off you all, guys. I think comment in if it just like hit you and it's just like, oh shit, I actually feel that. in you all. And it's like, whoa, it's like, I get it now. Get it? So that's how powerful frequencies are. And that's why I want you to start to use the language of XI. This language is not mine, by the way. I've just say replicated it the way nature would replicate it. It's the first principle. So this last sentence, I need to think about that, or let me ponder on it. Basically, you're going, oh, let me just loop down deeper and deeper. Okay, replace it with align to it. When you align to it at a frequency level, everything has to become balance or harmony before it disappears. Have you ever noticed that? That's what happens, right? For you to solve a problem, you'll have to come in balance and harmony with the problem. And then as you come in balance and harmony, you go, oh, I don't need that. And that piece of you disintegrates. And this is where you start to create new moments of time. But that's the science side of XI. A lot of people go, well, what the fuck is he talking about? So I'm not going to get into that, maybe on some other lectures. So when you start to align with just those two methods, you start to access the higher form of intelligence that runs your system already. There's a deep system that runs you, and then there's your mental state that runs you. Part of the deep system is, your autonomic nervous system, your heart rate, your creation of your identity here, your heart rate, your the thousands of expressions, hormones, chemicals, and all that create you. You have no control of that. That intelligence, that's what we're accessing. Okay, that's where thought originally comes from. You think that you're creating your thought here. No, it's the programming back there, and that's the difference between Think and Grow Rich, and the next evolution of it, Command and Grow Rich. Once you start to understand what is feeding your thoughts, be an observer of your thoughts, that's where clarity lives. It's like, oh my God, that's where I am, why I am. This is where people treat me the way they do. So as we end, the day that I heard that voice, everything that I thought I lost was obviously for good reason, right? And you'll probably feel that as well. So what I really lost was the illusion of control or my identity. The distortion that wasn't really me. The distortion that I thought was the definition of success. So that failure was the beginning of what I call, say, coherence or connecting to that higher self. And when I've rebuilt, yeah, it took some time. People want to drag you down and so on like that. Some of you will get that as well. But when I rebuilt from that frequency, everything changed. I got younger. Some of you have seen before and after pictures. I got younger from that. Stabilized. I don't have the same diseases as my family, my kids. Amazing, right? They're not running the same patterns as me, nor their birth mom. And success wasn't about proving anymore. It's literally just an expression of who we are. That immense possibility of who we are. And it didn't take effort to feel alive. It just took alignment. Again, tuning in, right? So here's my here's my um, analysis of you. You've already mastered mindset. You've already, you say, proven that you can create wealth. It's really time to master the source of creation itself. And to do that, you need to connect to your frequency behind it. Because once that aligns, success actually becomes simple. Ask anybody, once they understand, say, the wealth process, it's like, oh shit, it's so simple. Once you understand the frequencies process, it's the same thing. Wealth becomes simple, it becomes natural. Happiness is an extension of that. Happiness is a symptom, it's not a goal. It's like, oh, I want heat. It's like, well, learn how to make a fire. People just want the heat. People just want happiness. It's like, well, learn how to make that fire of happiness. right? Right now, it might be an ember, but then it turns into a roaring flame, and it just like you're just naturally happy. And this is where you can achieve your goals without destroying it. And that's what I mean by command, grow rich and happy, right? So and that's not control. It's not chaos. It just literally is resonance, and that's rewiring. The real rewiring is tuning in to that potential of who you are, right? And that's where we're going next in this next evolution. All right, Alex, this is just the cutest video, guys. As we end, I just want to leave this with you. Can you play that video, buddy?
If he could do it,
This isn't a movie.
he believed in himself, and you can too.
Oh man, you gonna put it on me like that?
You can do anything that you want. You can get singing lessons, get a better job, make more money. You could be even like rich. You could live in the White House someday. You could be president.
Me?
Do what you want to do. It's not about it's not up to other people.
It's true.
It's up to you.
It's true. I love you.
All right. Pretty crazy, right? That's the new generation, understanding you can do anything that you want, but you have to access the source where that comes from. All right. All right. Next week, we'll go deeper into my story and the new concept of what wealth really is. All right, guys. Peace.